Planeswalkers, love them or hate them, for the most part they're very rarely forgotten, which makes it all the weirder that this one from a beloved block, in a beloved colour combo, has been completely left in the dust. Domri Chaosbringer is a 4-mana Gruul Planeswalker with 5 starting loyalty, which on a +1 adds a green or red, which gives riot to any creature it's spent to cast. On a -3 lets you look at the top 4 cards of your library and grab up to 2 creatures from among them, and on ulting, on a -8, gives you an emblem which creates a 4/4 trampling beast on every end step. Guilds block, my darling. It was the point where I truly entered the game, and as such I have a lot of love for it, and it might just be that proclivity for these sets talking, but I think this Domri is really good. With this card, it's not about being synergistic or anything. Instead, he just provides absolutely excellent utility to any Gruul plus creature deck. And in the spirit of Gruul, I'm not going to beat around the bush as to why. That +1 is fantastic. I don't think it's an understatement to say that the plus is the most important ability on a Planeswalker. It's the ability to be using the most, it's the one that doesn't have any cost attached to it, it's the bread and butter of the Walker's skill set. A good number of Walkers have been thrown to the wayside just because their plus ability was not good enough. But Domri, not one of them. Just adding a mana would be pretty alright, but then you add the riot clause on top of that, and that's when Domri becomes a winner. As much as riot may seem like a very simple mechanic, the choice of granting a +1/+1 counter or haste on entry is actually incredibly potent. See, the best walkers are generally thought to be the ones that protect themselves, with tokens in particular. See Elspeth's Son's Champion for an example, as those tokens are both blockers for combat and then attackers when your walker isn't in danger. Domri kinda does a supercharged version of this with his +1, although it is reliant on having creatures in hand, much more than your Elspeths of the world. See, because of the Ramp Riot combo, it means you can get your big creatures out earlier, and then give them either a counter to be more efficient blockers for attacks coming at Domri, or, if Domri isn't in danger or you're just feeling particularly, if not Gruul then die, give them haste to beat face. And well, you're in Gruul, you're definitely gonna have access to some of the all-stars of the face-beating variety. Also, I will say that sometimes Domri just doesn't even need protecting as well. 5 starting loyalty is pretty beefy, especially after an uptick, so that means more face-beating action. But hey, all of that rambling was just about one of the abilities. The downtick can also be pretty damn strong as well. The capacity to essentially draw into 2 creatures for the cost of 0 mana is nothing to sniff at, especially when combined with the uptick ramping them out faster and buffing them. Admittedly, you do have a decent chance to whiff with this effect, what with it only looking at 4 cards, but I mean, pretty much any deck you play Domri in will want to be creature heavy, and that will very much minimise the chance of whiffs happening. And also, frankly, I think the fact that it's only 4 cards is to balance out the fact you get 2 creatures. That's not standard on these kind of effects. Usually you only get 1. So I think the trade-off is very much worth it. And hey, even if you do only get 1 creature off of the downtick, it's still worth it. After all, to me, the best way to see this Domri is that he is a fantastic ramp card, which just so happens to draw you a couple of cards for free on the turns where you don't need the ramp. Win-win. And then finally, you've got the ultimate, which is honestly probably the least useful part of this card. Getting a trampling 4/4 on every turn's end step is certainly not a bad thing, but it's definitely not the insta-win button that a lot of ults and emblems are, and I usually would prefer to keep using Domri for his up and down ticks. That being said, it does still have its uses. An uninteractable 4/4 factory can be quite good and quite overwhelming in some situations, especially on simplified board states. And well, as much as I hate to admit it, it does synergize really well with Doubling Season. Playing a Domri into a season does result in an immediate ult which Domri survives, and then an emblem which creates double the amount of beast tokens, resulting in 8 per turn cycle instead of 4 while the season is around. Overall, Domri is just a very nice all-rounder that can see play in really any Gruul plus creature-focused deck. I personally play him in my Thantis the Warweaver deck, Jund Stompy list, and he puts in work whenever he hits the field. I can also very much see him in your Haste Matters decks like Ognis and Samut, But really, he doesn't need to be limited to an archetype when he's just good just about anywhere. Well, anywhere there's creatures, at least. If only he didn't die like a bitch in the literal next set after this. Ciao.